Okay, so I'm back from Raw Nationals, and it would be hard for me to think that this meet really could have gone any better. I ended up with a 12 kilo PR total, fourth place finish, but really I think those numbers don't really reflect fully how I felt the meet went overall. So ended up I was 8 for 8 until my last deadlift, and then attempted an American record. It was like a 21 kilo jump from my second attempt, and all I would have needed was to put 2.5 kilos on my second attempt, which was effortless, and I could have pulled into third place, but my deadlifts just felt limitless, and I was just having such a good day at that point that I decided that I valued the attempt, at least at the American record. You know, it's never a sure thing, but valued the attempt at that record more so than just pulling 2.5 kilos to get third and not really affecting anything else. So it's cool. It's cool to make some predictions and say some things like in my last video about my deadlifts, how I still had some big expectations despite some of the weird things in training that happened. And now I'm just feeling really on every lift, particularly squat and deadlift, so excited about the future and my decision to move up, at this point finally looking like it's a really good decision, and feeling like I'm competitive at the moment, but that my potential at this point added 10 kilos on my squat since my last competition, and I don't feel like that's the end of where my squat progression is. If I can get that squat 330, 340, whatever. My deadlift clearly already, is 380 plus. So, setting my sights on pulling 400 kilos at some point, is a big deal. So feeling very, very good about where I am and kind of the future of myself in the sport. So just exciting to have those things happen. But I think the main point that I wanted to talk about in this video, and some of the reflections that I had post-competition, weren't specifically about me, but I'll put myself in this category. And just looking at the winners from the Raw Nationals, the classes. And to be honest, I didn't watch a whole lot. I was up there. I didn't catch very many of the women's sessions. I watched the 83s. I watched the 74s. The 93s were competing along with me, so I kind of have some context there. But I'm sure many of you watched more than what I did. But from what I could tell, there weren't very many surprises as far as the winners. And the people who did well, Taylor Atwood, obviously, Russell, whoever, Keiko, the people, Ashton and Bryce in my weight class, the people who did well are people who we easily could have predicted would do well. And I think that's the main takeaway from this, is that myself, I've had difficulties in the past, and it took me bombing out twice in 2 competitions to really say that I needed to be more focused and execute things better in training, and ended up winning a national championship because of it. And since that point, I've been, I think now I could put myself in the category of somebody that people and myself can expect good competitions because of the way that I set up training and the way that I execute things. But if we look at the top competitors, these are people that are just consistently doing excellent work in training, squatting to depth, long bench press pauses, deadlifts that are locked out, all those kind of things, just things that are, I think we all want from ourselves, but sometimes get too caught up in just forcing progress. Sacrificing quality for weight on the bars that we see over some months, that our squats may be getting a little bit sloppy, a little bit high, bench press pauses getting really short, touch and go, butt coming up, these kind of things. And then when it comes time for a competition and we have to take these steps back in order to make things look a bit better, then it just doesn't happen. And I think if we look at a number of the lifters who were challengers and ended up having bad meets, sometimes their totals looked okay, but missing 2 squats and having issues with depth and things like that are just totally controllable. I think that my reflection at this point is that that's what I want to try to encourage my athletes, myself, all of you guys watching, that the biggest thing that you can do to be a competitor is to treat every day that you're in the gym with purpose, with intent, and not let yourself get sloppy. But at the same time, all of these lifters that we see, and we'll use Russell or Atwood or whoever, these people are absolutely competing every single day, fire and driven. And I think sometimes people kind of miss those two, together. Is that sometimes people will go after their sessions in the gym and they're just all about putting weight on the bar and just, competing every day and all that kind of stuff, but letting things get kind of sloppy. Or on the other side, people sometimes are just like waiting for really good days to happen or just to all of a sudden be stronger. On the other side, maybe focusing too much on technique or, being too cautious. And if we can find that middle ground to where you're being, aggressive, but smart and actually going in and being really ready to work every single day. Not every day is going to be your best day. There's going to be some good days and bad days and how you want to adjust those things. But I mean, looking at the guys at the top, like they really want it. And just our execution, it's just so good. And so now, I think I can put myself in that category as well, to where I've done a really good job of creating, a standard for myself in training, putting together some good competitions and all that kind of stuff, and really feeling like I can be a competitor. But I think a lot of times everyone comes away from these competitions fired up and wants to be at the top. But I think, we see how many people can kind of fall short who seem like they were, competitors, but just had big holes in their training, and it just does not cut it. And that's why we see, the people who do very well on the platform, just how big of a difference that is actually showing up to the competition. So anyway, that's pretty much the end of my ramble. Is just that my reflection post competition is just all about quality and excellence and aggression to some degree, is being a competitor and really working to be the best every day. And there's a lot of things that go into that. So anyway, from word on the street, the Arnold should be happening in March. That seems like that will be my next competition. Obviously have some big goals. This meet was excellent. I would be surprised if I don't go over 2,000 pounds next time. But yeah, really, I'm pretty excited about my deadlift. So I'll be having some videos coming out. The next video, hopefully, I guess when I publish this video, I'll have my next block available. I haven't even started it, but it'll be available online. So the next few videos will be talking about some of each lift. So there's gonna be some interesting things. So I'll kind of break them down over the next few weeks, what I'm doing and why, and really how to execute those programs and everything. So anyway, I appreciate the support through this meet, and hopefully all the meets after it will be just as fun and productive. So anyway, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.